Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. I'm out in my shop tonight working on these three Commodore 64 computers. Let me get my pointer. All three of them have no video. These two have no sound. This one has sound, but it's like a humming noise. So I don't know if the sound is actually working or if the hum is going to the monitor because of the power circuitry. So I'm going to be opening up each one of these Commodore 64 computers tonight and taking a look inside and seeing maybe if there's something that I can repair, and get these Commodore 64 computers working again. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing tonight out here in the shop. Okay, this one here is the one that has a humming sound, but no video. So let's open it up and see if it's a simple fix or if it's something else. So let's open this up. We're going to need a low torque screwdriver, one like this. Okay, do not use a full-size number 2 Phillips screwdriver like this one. This has way too much torque. Anytime you're dealing with metal screws that are going into plastic, you do not want to use a screwdriver like this. Okay, and if you have a screwdriver set where it's got a handle and it's got the different tips that plug into the handle, you need to stop this video right now, pause this video right now, and throw that crap in the garbage. You need to invest in a good set or a proper set of screwdrivers. Do not be cheap, do not be lazy, do not be stupid. Invest in a good quality set of screwdrivers, okay? Now, the correct screwdriver to open up a Commodore 64 computer or any vintage computer like this is a screwdriver like this. This is a number 2, but it's a smaller screwdriver and it has low torque. This is the proper screwdriver that you want to use right here. Okay? So let's open this up. Now, sometimes you may have to use a number 2. If these are like really tight and you can't get them out with a low torque screwdriver, you might have to use number 2 just to break that seal. But then, put away the number 2 screwdriver and go back to a low torque screwdriver. Okay, so we got that. Let's dump these screws. There are the screws. Okay. Alrighty. So let's open this Commodore 64 computer up. Okay, now in order to not break those tabs, you want to, as you're opening up here, you want to basically, yeah, you don't want to break those tabs. They break real easy. So, yeah. I don't know why Commodore did it like this, but yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay, so let's unplug that cable, unplug the keyboard cable. Now, yeah. Okay, so we didn't break the tabs. That's really good. The tabs did not break. So there's that part of the Commodore 64 computer. Appears to be in pretty good shape. And these here are usually split, and these are not split, so that's really good. You know, those are not split. These tabs right here, they're not cracked or broken, so that's good. You know, that's real good. Okay. So, one nice thing about this Commodore 64 computer, and this is the one that has a humming sound. It looks like all of the chips are socketed on this board, which is really nice. That means that repairing this Commodore 64 computer is going to be easy. Yeah, it's going to be pretty easy. Let me get my pointer. Yeah. Yeah, I think this one's going to be pretty easy to repair. I might actually hang on to this. I've been looking for a board, one of these boards here. Assembly number 250-425. So this is a 425 board. Been looking for one of these. Yeah. Been looking for one of these. Yeah, it's got a humming sound. It's got a humming sound. So let me try just reseating the chips. Actually, this should be done outside the computer. Yeah, it should be done outside the computer. Yeah, but yeah, this one is a really nice... This is a really nice board. This is a nice board. It really is. It's a nice board. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering what's wrong with this board, because it appears to be in really nice shape. Now the video is not working. The video is not working. So I'll have to do some checks on that. But yeah, I've been looking for one of these boards. And this is real nice that all the chips are socketed. The main chips are all socketed. Yeah, so this board is definitely a keeper. Especially once I get it working. This will be a keeper. I've been looking for one of these boards. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be a keeper. I'll have to, when I have more time, I'll swap out the chips with known good chips until I find the one that's bad. I need to get a diagnostic cartridge. I might wait before repairing these until I get a diagnostic cartridge to help me diagnose, okay, what chips are actually bad. I'm not getting any video, and I'm getting a humming sound from this computer here. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put this one away. I'll put it in an anti-static bag, but I'll put it away. Alright, there's that one. Okay, so now for the next one. Okay, this one here has no video or sound. I plugged in a game cartridge that I know has sound and video, because sometimes if the Commodore 64 doesn't have video, you'll still hear the sound. And so I didn't hear any sound, and there was no video. So yeah, there's a problem with this one. So yeah, like before, we'll take this one apart. I think someone has already been inside this one, because it's missing all of its feet. So when I refurbish this case, I'll put brand new feet on. And yeah. Well, there's one screw. Sometimes they like to be stubborn. Yeah, sometimes they like to be stubborn. Oh, come on. Oh my God, are you serious? There you go. Sometimes you gotta get jiggy with it. And then they'll come out. Yeah, then they'll come out. This is most likely going to be a 407. Yes, a 407 board. The 407s are the most common of the Commodore 64 boards. They're the most common. So, okay, I see why this one wasn't working. Yeah. Okay, again, let me zoom out a little bit. Well, that's zoomed out too much. But again, okay, the tabs, they're not broken, which is really nice. I like it when the tabs aren't broken. Okay, but this post right here is split. Okay, so I'll have to get a case saver to fix that. This post here appears to be okay. This one appears to be okay, but this one's split. So, yeah, it's split. Yeah, this is a common 407 motherboard. I can see why this one's not working, because two of the chips responsible for directing the traffic, so to speak, these are the traffic cops. These four chips here, they're usually, you know, the traffic cops. This is what controls the traffic around the board. And so, yeah, if these chips are missing, then yeah, this board you won't get any video or sound or anything, you know. I'm not sure if the VIC-2 chip is working or not. The rest of the chips are soldered in. And, well, I wonder if it has. Okay, let me get something to pry that up. Let me see if I can pry this bitch up. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, come on out of there, bitch. Okay, so, yeah, okay. So there's the VIC-2 chip. It doesn't have very much stuff on it. So first thing I need to do, I don't like using machine sockets. Never use machine sockets for integrated circuits. Just don't do it. So I'm going to unsolder these and replace them with the proper dual wipe contact IC sockets. And then I'll have to look up these chips to see what goes in here, and I'll get some brand new ones. I'll get a whole tube full of like 20 of them, so I'll have them in stock. But got to replace these first and then continue on with that. Usually 407 boards are pretty reliable. My main Commodore 64 computer that I use all the time is a 407. And I showed it on my channel. I recapped the board and put the heat sinks on the chips, and it works great. I never have problems, you know, with a 407 board. In fact, my brand new red PCB, you know, Commodore 64 PCB, is a 407. It's modeled after the 407. So I do plan on building that board eventually. But yeah, this is a 407. Let me zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. One of the things I want to do is I want to get at least one of every revision of the Commodore 64 motherboard, starting with the earliest boards all the way up to the latter short boards. And yeah, I actually prefer the Commodore 64 computers that have the 8500 series chips. I think, well, the chips run cooler because their second voltage is 9 volts instead of 12 volts. The second voltage on these chips are 12 volts, and that's the main reason why these chips run hot. Whereas on the 8500 series chips, their second voltage is 9 volts. So they tend to run a lot cooler. This is also true for the SID chip. And I actually prefer the newer SID chip because it runs cooler. And this affects the sound of that chip. I think the newer SID chips, the 8500 series, actually have better sound than the 6500 series. A lot of you will argue that point with me, but I know what I'm talking about. And to be honest with you, I actually prefer the Swin SID, or whatever you call those replica SID chips. They have really good tone, and they have good sound. Those are my favorite. The only bad thing about those SID chips, you know, I think they're called Swin SID or something like that, is that they don't handle digitized sound, like digitized speech. A good example of that is the Ghostbusters game, where, you know, the guy goes, "Ghostbusters!" Well, that's digitized speech. And these new SID chips, the replicas, they don't handle or they don't do digitized sounds very well. Other than that, they have, as far as music, they have much better tone than the original SID chips. And I'm going to prove that in an upcoming video, because I'm going to test all the different SID chips. And we're going to hook them up to a sound analyzer, and we're going to hook up, we're just, you know, let you hear them with your own ears, and trust me, if you're not biased, a lot of you are biased toward the original SID chips, the 6500 series. And so, even if the newer chips sound better, you won't admit it. And so, you need to listen to the chips from a neutral standpoint so that you can really hear the differences between the SID chips. I actually prefer the 8500 series SID chip. And I really like the tone, the sound that comes from the replica SID chips. I really like the tone from those chips. Anyway, I can't go any further on this board until I replace these sockets here with IC sockets. Never use machine sockets for integrated circuits. And then I have to find out what chips go in there and plug those chips in. And then I can go from there. So yeah. So let's put this one away. Yeah, I'm going to have to invest in a diagnostic cartridge. I'm surprised I don't have one of those yet. I'm actually surprised I don't have one of those. I got to get one. Okay, this is the third Commodore 64 computer that I'm working on tonight. We're just inspecting tonight. This one too has no video and no sound. So let's open her up, take a peek inside, see if we can get these three Commodore 64 computers working in. Now somebody's definitely been inside this one because it's missing this screw and that screw. It only has that one. Alrighty, there's that screw. Okay, so let's open this up. And yeah, okay, this, whenever you see a cardboard shield like this, the chances are very good it's a 407 motherboard. Yeah, it's a 407. Okay, so this one too, the tabs are not broken, which is really nice. And it doesn't appear that these here, they don't appear to be split. I like it when these are not split. Okay, yeah, they're not split. So this case, I think, is going to be in really good shape. Yeah, it's in good shape. Alrighty, so yeah, this is most likely going to be a 407. Because I remember when I took my 407 apart and recapped it and replaced the voltage regulators, put the heat sinks on the main chips, it too had this cardboard shield. I just left it off. So yep, 407. Told you, it's a 407. Now what's nice about this board is it's got these chips seated. Now, one thing you got to be careful about these 407 motherboards. It's one thing you got to be careful about. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, on these 407 motherboards, the placement of the SID chip and the PLA chip is reversed. It's swapped. Okay, so on the other Commodore 64 motherboards, the SID chip is up here, if memory serves me correctly, and the PLA chip is down here. So for some reason on these 407s, Commodore reversed the chips. So keep that in mind. Do not ever plug the SID chip here and the PLA chip here. You will most likely damage the board. So yeah, these chips appear to be all soldered in, but these two socketed. You know, since that other board's a 407, remember it had these two chips missing? So I'll just look here to see what these chips are, and I'll put in an order tonight for a tube of 20 of them. So I'll have spares. Yeah. Will this open? I mean, yeah. Okay. Wow, that was barely on there. I mean, oh my God. That has a ceramic chip. Wow. I like it when they have the ceramic VIC-2 chip. Those are nice. They're very high quality. They have gold-plated legs. They have a ceramic body, which helps dissipate the heat better. They have a metal top part, which helps dissipate the heat on this a lot better than the plastic bodied chips. So yeah, that's a nice. I hope that chip works. Those are my favorite of the VIC-2 chips. That one there. Yeah. So yeah, I can't go any further until after I get a diagnostic cartridge. I've got a really nice multimeter, and I got a really nice logic probe, so I'm set to go. And I got the schematics for all the different revision motherboards, so I'm set as far as that. So yeah, we'll continue this series of videos, me working on these three Commodore 64 computers. As soon as I get a diagnostic cartridge. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. It was just a real quick video. I was out in the shop tonight taking a peek inside these Commodore 64 computers, and I thought, well, why not turn on the camera and you guys can watch too, you know. And yeah, I plan on recapping these 407s, but I want to get them working first. I'm going to recap them. I'll put the heat sinks on the chips that get hot. I'm going to replace the voltage regulators with brand new ones. I always do that. Yeah. I'll check the fuse, make sure it's not blown. I'll recap the board, including the small electrolytics. All these electrolytics here, I will be replacing these. And of course, the larger ones, I'll be replacing those. But yeah, that's a lot of capacitors that need to be replaced. Yeah. These caps right here, they usually never have to be replaced. But let me show you a capacitor, a really high quality capacitor that is great if you have to replace these, or if you want to increase the quality of the board, make it higher quality. I'll show you the capacitors that you want to replace those with. It's these here. In fact, these are the capacitors that I'm going to be soldering into that new red Commodore 64 board that I'm going to be putting together, you know. These are very high quality capacitors, these here. I think they're called, let me see, I got a label right here. Metallized film, 0.22 microfarad, 63 volt, 5%. Yeah, these caps are fine. Yeah, they're fine for filtering cap, because I think these are also 0.22 microfarad. Yeah, but I think these are rated at like around 100 volts right here. Maybe 50 volts, I'm not sure, I'd have to look at these. But yeah, these are excellent replacements. Yeah, or if you're building a brand new Commodore 64 motherboard, these capacitors right here are very high quality. This is what you normally find in high-end test equipment or high-end audio equipment or video circuit boards. These are the type of caps that you find in those type of boards, you know, high-end boards, video or audio or test equipment for that matter. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more exciting content coming out real soon. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.